All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for From Cold Leads to Closed Deals Frameworks at Work. I'm Rebel Risty with Rebel Marketing and Rebel Labs, and I'm here today with Stephen Werner. We are excited to bring you this. Stephen and I we met randomly passing at an event and then
Yep.
connected, and Stephen just really wowed me with really your sales acumen, but also just your personality and how you really drive to connect with people. And we had a really great talk about sales and marketing and how you're training people and our marketing frameworks that we work here at Rebel Marketing. So I'm going to start off with just a little bit of background about myself, and then I'll let Stephen
Yeah.
introduce himself. Like I said, I'm Rebel Risty. I've had my agency for 16 years, and a, gosh, 6 years ago, maybe more than that now, we were introduced to a methodology called Story Brand, and I just fell in love with it. And the reason I love it and what we're going to talk about today is frameworks. How having proven frameworks really make a difference in your process and also the results that you get. Marketing, especially, I feel like, is the throw it at the wall and sees what sticks methodology is what a lot of businesses do. And, sometimes that works, but most of the time it doesn't. And so we have a proven framework that's just really about understanding your customer. It's the basics. Know what your customer pain points are. What do they want? How do you solve that? Give them a clear map on how they connect with you. And one of the things, too, is we talk a lot about driving leads, and we want leads to raise their hand and say yes, but what do you do when the lead isn't quite ready? So also we're going to talk about how to nurture that lead through the process. And then of course, once that lead does raise their hand and they're ready to go, what are the sales? How do you be bold? Is one of the things Steven's going to talk about. What are the things that salespeople, and let's face it, most of us small business owners are wearing both hats. We're doing marketing and we're doing sales. So how do we do all that together? But my 16 years, I've learned frameworks work, staying to the basics, even in this whole crazy world with AI and everything going on, sticking to the basics and what we know works always works. So, Stephen, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself and get us going.
Thank you. I'm Stephen Wener. I've been in residential real estate for about 32 years, so since 93, but I feel like I have an unfair advantage when it comes to talking to people, working with people, simply because I started knocking on doors when I was 10 years old. And at 10, I had no idea that I was learning anything about the inner workings of would somebody slam a door in my face when I was selling newspapers or how to get through to them. And, you know, as a kid, I was just making side money, but I had to learn how to objection handle. And one of my friends that I would knock doors with, he would always lie. He would tell people he needed one more sale to go to Disneyland.
I love
And I'm
it.
like,
I
right? And
love it.
he's so unethical at 10. And it was just not me. How do you resonate with people without giving them this false story? And then my dad, he owned a ready-made company. And growing up in Canada, in northern Canada, in Edmonton, my dad's season was the summertime. And it doesn't really get dark till like 11 at night. So it's kind of weird. But in the season, my dad would be gone all the time. And in order to spend time with him, I'd have to go knock doors. So then my dad taught me how to profile people in Montreal slang. He taught me there were strokers, brokers, lonely people, and mooches. So he taught me about four personality types when I was 14. Again, I had no idea I was learning. I was just spending time with my dad and absorbing. And then I got into real estate at 23. And what did I do when I got in real estate at 23? I started knocking on doors. And then when I moved to San Diego, I married my wife. She's from here. I moved in 2008, best time in the world, as we all know, right?
Yep.
If you can make it in a recession. So, what did I do when I moved to San Diego? I went knocking on doors. I went to every single bank and I met every single mortgage broker, and they started sending business to me. And I had nobody here. I knew no one. So, part of my story is just the ability to tell a story to strangers that's compelling because it's value based and it's inquisitive. And then through a series of questions and understanding how somebody's responding, I learned how to navigate those questions. And so eventually we'll get to the be bold part, right? But that's why I say I feel like I grew up with a bit of an unfair advantage because I'm 53 now. So for 43 years, I've been talking to people asking for certain things where I would get a lot of no's, but then I would figure out how do I turn those no's into yeses. So I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, for sure. And that definitely comes across when somebody meets you and talks to you. There's no substitute for experience, that is for sure. But
Yep.
um, what what would you say to somebody? Because you do coach and train people. What do you say to like those younger people that are coming in? Because it's a different world. You talk about knocking on doors. I did that too. I sold Cutco knives. My actually
Yep.
my senior year in high school, right before I went to college, and you could still call people up, make appointments, knock on doors. You can't do that today. But I know there's other ways to do that. What do you tell younger professionals that don't have your experience, but they have to go knock on doors?
So I'm going to reframe what you just said, where you can't do that today, right? I'm going to challenge that. Why am I going to challenge that? Because depending on where you are, somebody's knocking on your door to sell you termite service. Somebody's knocking on your door to see what internet service you have. Somebody's knocking on doors in an area where it snows a lot, right? I'm from Canada to see if you need snow shoveling service. Like so, so it still exists. You just have to know how to knock the door. You have to know to step away from the door, not be threatening, and just. And some people just won't answer the door. And even when I was younger, there was people that would say very choice things to me when they opened the door, and they weren't exactly my choice of words. But you just have to grow thick skin. So, regardless of do you have to knock doors or not, the answer is no. But if anybody's starting out, what you have to understand is you already have the skills. And that's the problem. When you get into a new industry, you think you know nothing, but you forget you have all these life skills, right? Did you ask somebody out that made you so nervous when you were younger? Like, how did you ever do that the first time? When you asked your special person to marry you, how you have you ever asked anybody to marry you before? How'd you do that? What was that like? It's just getting past the discomfort and kind of reframing the narrative. And if you can reframe the narrative, then you're pulling from a position of the known. It's the unknown that scares the crap out of us. But we've pretty much done everything. We've done everything. And if we're really passionate about wanting to get something done, we figured out how to do it. But it's just so rare. And then you have to do that on a daily basis if you're in the B2C or B2B, right? And you're trying to get a widget sold to whomever that is. How do you convey that message? You already know how, you just haven't reframed it in a way that now you understand the cycle.
Yeah. So how does and I appreciate the correction on knocking the doors. I guess because I work in B2B professional services, we're not
Sure.
knocking on doors. Although I think there's a
Yep.
different way to do it. I was talking with one of my fellow story brand guides, and he text messages people. Now they're people he knows. He has permission to do it, and he's doing it one on one. But that's his form of knocking on the door. We personally use a lot of LinkedIn, so we're doing a lot of outreach. Those are knocking on the door. I think that's really
Yep.
interesting. That some people still go out. You're right.
Well,
You still have people come to the door. I don't tend to answer
sure.
a lot just because I'm not home, but
Right. Yeah. But let me share one way to knock doors even in your industry. If you went to small business parks, because they're all over the place, right? Where you go to this area, it's all commercial and it's small businesses operating in these business parks. And they're all different. They're all like everything's different. But everybody has a storefront. And if you walked into every single door, and I'm going to give another example of this in a whole different industry, you walk in that door and you're like, hey, saw your sign, checked out your website. This is what I do. What are you doing for marketing right now? Like, I know I'm walking in, it's kind of old school, nobody's really doing that. But I looked at what you have. Believe it or not, I'm just getting my steps in and I'm meeting businesses at the same time. People will respect that because it's honest, right?
yeah.
And like, this is what you have. How is your website working for you? If there was a better way, would you be interested in blocking off 15 or 20 minutes with me so I can actually show you things? And you don't have to work with me, but I know there's a better way. Are you open to seeing what that looks like? And then the other one is I'm training young fiduciaries, young, I mean new to the business, how to work with attorneys. And what I can tell you is no fiduciary is going to a law firm and just walking in. I, as a real estate broker, walk into a law firm that's in trust and estate or trust and probate litigation, and they're like, "What do you want?" Right away, the back's up against the wall. I'm a realtor, right? But
Mm-hmm.
a fiduciary never walks in, and an attorney needs a fiduciary. An attorney needs me, but they're inundated with people like me, not me, but people like me. So they've already got a framework, a narrative. But a fiduciary walks in, and the fiduciaries I've been coaching around that are like, oh my gosh, I can do that. Yeah, I can really like. So the same thing, right? There's a if there's a will, there's a way, and if there's a willingness, and you're not afraid to go have face-to-face conversations, and that's where we'll get to the bold part. It's multiple layers of bold, but you can just walk into a business. This is your website. What are you doing? I think there's some improvements here. Would you like to book, how's it working for you? Have you thought of it? Oh, we're too busy with this, that, and the other thing. Respect, totally respect that. But if I could show you how to bring more business in, would you be open to that in a quick conversation?
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And it's it's interesting because I think what you're, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's really about having just an honest, open relation or conversation. And, whether you're knocking the door or you're walking into a retail establishment or you're having an online meeting, it's just being open. And I absolutely agree with you. I think for us, we do it in the form of creating content for our clients and ourselves. So we kind of open that initial door by doing content that we believe our clients or our target audience wants to see, that is addressing their pain points, doing thought leadership. I like to do really, now that we're leaning more into I like to do just how to videos. Like, this is how I'm using it. This is what I've discovered, because I know other people are on that same journey, on that same path. So that's my more subtle marketing way of
Sure.
showing them what I can do and asking those questions. So I do like that. And I know that using our framework, we always try to start with, like, what are our customers' pain points? What are they really dealing with? And how can we talk to that and create content and help them without asking, hard, bold, but do you want to buy from us? I don't think that's just not the way we market.
And to your point, if you frame everything correctly, people are going to be interested in knowing how they can work with you. And that's why, like, selling, for some reason, selling is a dirty word. But the old English word selan means to serve. And people don't really know the origin of the word sell. Most people take sell as I'm going to force something on you. It's yes or no. I'm going to give you all these trial closes. And but you don't even have to do that. When you serve, when you show value, when you eliminate any doubt, then people are like, so how do we work together? What is this going to take to start? Right? So I love, I got excited and knocked my computer, but I love that. Right? Um, but yeah, and please don't misconstrue anything I said. Everybody has their way of wanting to present themselves, and there's a whole different array of like, I can do this, or down calls through internets or whatever, whatever it is, flyering, it doesn't matter. The biggest question is, are you consistent, right? Does it work for you? Are you conveying your message? And then the biggest part is, how do you get people to then say yes, even after they raise their hand? How do you work to convert that lead or communicate with that lead? And I think that's where such a massive disconnect happens. And then people think you just have to keep churning out volume of lead generation, and your conversion ratio is horrific.
Yeah.
And and that's what I really want to focus on with the audience as well. Like, you're the expert in how do you bring everything in, and then I want to help people understand how to facilitate getting from prospect to raving fan of a client that's referring the crap out of you.
Yeah. No, and I think it's funny. I've done a few LinkedIn lives with other sales professionals, and it really is about marketing and sales working together. And I feel the marketing team's responsibility is to build that original awareness, that brand, help the sales team know what the customer pain points are. And that's working together. Sales are on the ground talking to the customer more than the marketing team. So the marketing team should be working with sales team to understand what are the customer pain points, what do the customers really want, what do they love about our product or service, and then weaving that into that messaging that's constantly being out there, whether that's in ads and social content, podcasts, whatever that content vehicle is being used. And again, I love the framework that we use, and we adapt it to every client, but it is starting out with what does your customer really want, understanding who your customer is. That's just a fundamental basic. But then the customer pain points. And I like to, in StoryBrand, they call it negative stakes. I like to say it's pain points. Like, are they trying to, usually, and this, it's not they want more leads or they need more sales. It's they are really trying to achieve a better customer retention, or they have personal life goals for smaller businesses. There's other things that are driving them, right? They're afraid of, putting all this money into their retail space and nobody coming in the front door, or they're getting bad reviews, whatever it might be. And so we try to lean into those, and then we come back with those positive stakes. Well, if you work with us or you buy our product, these are the benefits that you get to solve that really core issue. What they're feeling is, are they anxious? Are they overwhelmed? Do they feel like the world's coming in on them? Whatever that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's helpful, because not everybody's strong in sales or marketing, but I feel as a marketer, our job is to help our client get that their potential client down the funnel, to understand what they do, to have this messaging that resonates with them, so that when they do get to that sales person or they get further down the funnel, they're warmer. They're like you said, they're the qualified lead. They're not just all these different people. You're just trying to churn as much, get people in, but they're just not qualified. And then you're right, your conversion rate sucks because you just don't have the right people in your funnel.
Well, what I find is you really want to get people to be honest with you, right? Like, what are you really experiencing? And the unfortunate part on the sales side, so you've done your job as the marketer, the leads are coming in, the outbound calling crew for the company is reaching out, and then they're just having these terrible conversations. And part of what I learned, over the decades that I've been working directly with consumers is we've heard no 400 times a day up until we were 8 or 9 years old. So right away we're pre-programmed to either hear no or say no. And we don't even know why. It's this defensive reflex of just like, no, not interested, don't want it, no. And we kind of do that. So when I look at how is the professional salesperson, what is their mindset? How have they preconditioned themselves when they reach out? They're really, really moving past all of their limiting beliefs, not worried about what they're going to hear from anybody. And then how do they reframe narratives when they pitch something and then it comes back as a no? So one of the things you talked about, or that we talked about offline, was I created an entire process of how to have a conversation. So the first thing when I coach is, what's your mindset? Like, what do you believe you can do? What do you believe you're worthy of? And I know that might sound cliche or it might not sound that important, but it's more important than anything. If your mindset isn't right, if you don't believe you're a champion, if you don't believe you should achieve, if you don't believe you can achieve at a super high level, why would your prospect? Why does your prospect even need to say yes to you if you don't even feel they should be saying that yes to you? So I have
Mm-hmm.
to reframe the mindset just to show personal worth, right? Is it just a job you're showing up to? Are you just doing enough to get a paycheck? Are you just complaining when you get home because you're not doing great? And that's all on us. And there's a lot of personal work that has to happen to achieve that. that's something I help with to a degree, but there's a lot of inner work that people have to do to really believe that they're capable of this, not that they're deserving of this, right? And then once we can start tapping into that, and you kind of feel empowered, right? You get this boost, you're a little bit energetic. Then I can break down the fundamentals, and every single business has an acronym. In my world, my acronym in real estate, when I have an inbound lead come in, is LP Mama. I want to know their location, their price point, if they've already got financing set up, which is mortgage, is there another agent, what's their motivation, and then I set the appointment. So location, price, mortgage, agent, motivation, appointment. And once I go through all of those things, then I know where they want to be and why, right? Like, why do you want to be in these locations? I need the importance. I ask them about a price point. Some people are delusional. You know, I'm about to spend 2 million. I'm like, okay, well, let's get right to the mortgage part. Right? Have you talked to a mortgage professional? No, my credit's good. I'm like, okay, well, we really need to connect you to someone unless you're paying cash or you're paying 2 million cash for the property. No, I only have $5,000 for down payment. I'm like, okay, let me educate you about the mortgage so that we can kind of reframe this, and then I'll get back into other pieces. But I know to stop there, right? So a framework allows you to understand where you're going. And then within that framework, I teach people to mirror and match, right? So cadence, posture, language, inflection, pitch, right? All of those things. If you act a little bit more like somebody subconsciously, and you can look this up, it's scientific, people will lean into you. They'll gravitate towards you. This person's kind of like me. I kind of like them, right? And this is a stranger. And then I use word empowerment because some people go, oh my God, I'm such a waste of time, or you're wasting your time, or don't do this, or this is terrible. Why would you ever do this? And it's like, you're basically just setting fire everywhere as opposed to, we're going to work together. Let's figure this out. I want to walk you through this so that we can see this, right? And we're going to work through all of these things. And then all of a sudden we're on a journey together. But then the magic comes like in that framework, once we have that framework and the mirroring and matching and the qualifying and the dialoguing is going on, then when you're proficient at that, you can pay attention to micro expressions or tonal changes if you're on the phone. And you can literally hear if they're with you, if they're not. You can literally see if they're with you, if you're not. Just like you're nodding your head right now, whether you knew you were nodding your head, you're agreeing with me. I am right. I am reading you. I have to read you. I have to read you so I know if I'm on point or not. If I'm not on point, I have to adjust. But we're so far removed from that because I've done this my entire life. I can pay attention. Most people are, you know yourself to death in a conversation because they don't know how to have a conversation. They don't have a flow of a conversation. And then they hit the first no and they're like, okay, you're good, right? Like when I ask, is there another professional like myself in real estate that's helping you with your real estate goals? And they'll say, yeah, or yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, yeah, I'm like, that doesn't sound very convincing.
Yeah.
Where somebody else in my position would say, oh, good, that's great. I'm glad you're taken care of.
Right.
And if I ask and they say yes, I'm like, wow, that's somebody you're committed to. I'm not here to ask you for your business. I could tell right off the bat somebody's done you really well. Do you mind sharing their name? So if I ever come across them, I can tell them that I met you, you spoke highly of them, and I'm sure they would appreciate that because we don't hear it often enough. These are the things, when I talk about being bold, these are the things that I do in conversation because it's real, but we just don't think we can be that real or raw.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's the same in marketing. You have to, it used to be 7 or 8 touches. Now I think it's like 27 or 28 touches, right? And quantity doesn't mean that you're going to win. But one of the arguments I have with clients a lot is like how many times they should be emailing. And the truth is, if your content's good, you could email every day. And I know brands that do that. We're on their list, right? And you get an email from them every day and you don't unsubscribe. Why? Because it's good. You want to hear what they have to say. Sometimes you don't read it all. I mean, we don't have time, but you want to stay in that loop. So I tell people all the time, if your content's good, once a day is okay. Once a week is good. Once a month is still better than nothing. So
Right.
yeah, you just have to keep staying out there and having those touch points with your customers and I love that. It's the same with marketing. If the customer isn't a good fit today, doesn't mean they won't be later. And let's face it, especially in the CPA world, our clients are in CPAs. A lot of CPAs are retiring now. Other newer, younger CPAs are benefiting from that. So this always ebbs and flows in the world. And what we try to help our clients do is just make sure they're staying in front and staying consistent. Keep your messaging consistent, because you just never know where that lead might come from. A customer, we've had customers that we had 2-3 years ago. They come back. You just never know. So
You never know, yeah.
yeah,
And that's it. You can never expect. There's always the gravy, right? We're looking for the immediate, we're looking for the short cycle, right, of conversion. But if you do it right, they will come back. And then you're like, wow, thought you were gone. They're like, no, it just wasn't the right time.
yeah.
And you never know somebody's timing. And we judge that too, right? We judge and we're like,
Hmm.
we get so upset.
I
But
know.
but it was somebody else's agenda. It wasn't our agenda.
Yeah, we take it personally. And you reminded me. I read a book, How Good People Sell. You've probably heard of it. Um,
I haven't. No, there's so many. I
there
haven't.
are. Well, this one's kind of geared more towards salespeople who, like me, who are not really salespeople. We don't love to sell. And one of the things she talks about is that the mindset. You have to believe what you're doing, what you provide, whether it's service or product, really helps somebody. So if you believe your service helps people, then approach it that way. Don't try to sell it to people, try to help them. And maybe your product and service helps them at that moment, maybe it doesn't. But if you're trying to just help people, then that will always come across, and your service and your product will
Yeah,
be come along with that. So you made me think of that when you were talking about having that mindset.
yeah. But it is true. Like after 32 years of being in real estate, let me tell you, I've had a love-hate relationship with real estate until I found out why I love it. And when you honestly find out why you love what you do, then you won't tolerate. There are certain things you won't tolerate anymore, right? And I won't tolerate working with certain people anymore. It's just because I know the level of value that I bring to this equation. And that equation is so important. It's what you come home to, it's where you sleep, it's where memories are made, it's where children are born. It's like all of these things. And like shelter is, right? Food and shelter, those are necessities in life. So I used to just think, oh, I'm trying to sell a house or sold a house or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm helping people achieve. And there's so many layers to what I do. And it's fortunate or unfortunate that the population thinks, oh, realtors, they do. Well, I am a freaking problem solver, psychologist, bartender, hairdresser, chauffeur, you name it,
Yeah.
with an agenda to get them to their promised land. I learned something early in my sales career in real estate from my neighbor, who was one of the top agents in my city of Edmonton. His name was Abe Herring. And I asked him all these questions. We were walking our dogs, and he's, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's just like, if you help the buyer and seller achieve what they're trying to achieve, everything else will fall in place. So I just learned not to think about what's in it for me, because the young times in my career when I was in my 20s, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm going to make all this money. And when you thought like that, everything fell apart. It would always fall apart. But then when you're really there and you understand how to serve and problem solve and deliver value and be a leader, I lead people through emotional challenges to get to the other side. I don't sell houses. That's just the framework of the contract stuff that I do. But I just help people achieve going from A to Z with everything that's going to happen in 30 to 45 days. And there's a lot that happens.
Yep. Oh,
Let me
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah. And excuse me, I think, one of the things that I love to do is I've learned through experience, I can't do everything. In the beginning, you try to do everything, and then you realize, no, what am I good at? I'm good at branding and messaging and creating content. So I love to connect people, and I think you're the same way too. Like if it isn't a right fit for me, people will come to me, they don't understand what marketing is. A lot of people just don't understand what marketing is. And it's gotten more complicated. It hasn't gotten easier. And now you add in AI into the mix. So I love to connect people. I've got a huge network that I trust, and I'm happy to connect people. And sometimes brings me more joy because one, I know I'm not doing work I shouldn't be doing, which is going to drive me
Right.
crazy and not be good for that customer. But two,
Yeah.
I love making sure my network's growing and that customer's taken care of. And even today, I'm in Provisors, and a gentleman who I referred my client into. He's an attorney. He's retiring in June. And it's been over a year. He's been working with my client. I don't really talk to them much about that side of what they're doing. And he remembered to include me that he's retiring and me to know. I just referred that he's retiring and that, he's setting my client up with another attorney and they're going to be taken care of it. And I just thought that's so nice. Like, people don't think about that anymore.
Right.
You get
Yeah.
the referral and you walk
That's-
away, but I love that. I want to always be connecting people.
And it makes you want to refer them more, right? If they weren't
Mm-hmm.
retiring, it's like that thoughtfulness, like thoughtfulness goes a long way, and that's something people don't recognize. I wanted to pose a question to you that I feel I know the answer to, but it took me forever. But this is something as a marketer that I know you have to focus on, but I think the general public doesn't. And even if they're not working with someone in marketing, calls to action, calls
Yes.
to action,
Yes.
right? So, so, so many people don't understand calls to. It's so simple, but I was a call to action. What's a call to? What am I supposed to call to
Yep.
action? But like, I think so many people just post stuff up there, but they don't even know what it's designed to do because there was nothing to say what it's supposed to do. So, can you speak about calls to action for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. So, call to action, which is part of our framework as well, know your customer pain points, understand how you solve those pain points, give them the steps to connect and engage with you, but then have clear call to action. And it can be as simple as schedule a meeting, schedule a demo, download this PDF. Bad calls to actions tend to be learn more. We don't want to be passive. That is one thing too. We try to your bold statement. Don't be passive. Have good calls to action on your website, your marketing materials, because people need to be told what to do next. And if it's schedule a meeting, or maybe it's like watch this video, download our guide on the 5 things to never do in marketing ever again, or whatever those things are. But I'm with you. You have to make the ask. You can't expect that customer or your prospect to know what to do next. You have to let them know what to do next.
And this is where the boldness has to come in, right? So I also want to give our audience a little bit of what the juice that they're looking for on here, which is like how to get people to respond. But I wanted to bring up call to action because so many people don't ask, right? So if you don't ask, you don't get. And that's what people like, how did they get everything? Why am I getting nothing? Well, it's because they asked. In general, they're asking. But I wanted to read a text message that I sent to someone, and I still don't have an answer yet, but there's a referral that came to me from a new home builder, and this person was looking in their community, and they have a house to sell. So I have a wonderful relationship with this new home builder, this representative, and she sent somebody to me, and everything was going amazing. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, like last week, haven't heard from them. But I just wanted to read a couple text messages
Sure.
that I'm sending, right? And just so people can see what's up. And so he got disenfranchised with this community because he has to do certain steps and they have a house ready to go that he wants, but they want to market to the public because he has to sell a house. So I sent him a list of homes which he asked for. And I said, John, of the 16 homes, 6 are off the market now. So I'm creating urgency for him, right? Like I sent him a list, 6 are off the market now. So please let me know when you have a moment to reconnect. I know so and so is going to reach back out to you. So not sure if anything happened there, but look forward to hearing from you when you have a moment. Best, Stephen. Didn't hear from him, right? And that was on Monday. So yesterday, Wednesday, I sent a text. Hey, John, you've gone radio silent. I hope everything is okay in your world, right? So right off the bat, don't like, hey, you're a bad guy. Why are you ghosting me? Like, because I don't know. Maybe something happened. Something happened to his wife. Maybe he's sick. I don't know. He's out of country. I have no idea.
Right.
But so many of us get mad when somebody isn't responding to us. So never assume, right? So you go on radio silent. I hope everything is okay in your world. If you're just too busy, I understand. But let me know what direction you're taking as we were going 100 miles an hour and then full stop. From my end, I simply wish to understand your direction so I know how to assist or adjust. Best, Stephen. Right? So being bold doesn't mean, hey, jerk, you won't, why aren't you? And I put all this time in, like nobody cares about that. That's an instant turn off. But I don't know what's going on in somebody's world, right? The same way somebody can reach out to you 2 years later, like, hey, Rob, oh my God, I've been getting
Yeah.
your stuff. And you've been ghosting me for 2 years, is what you want to say,
Right.
right? But more it's just like, hey, welcome back. Nice to see you
Uh,
again. But there's a way to be bold without being rude, passive aggressive, overbearing, kind, thoughtful, and like, hey, I don't know if something's happening over here. If it is, I get it. If something just happened, it's cool. If you changed your mind, cool. Just tell me. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
yeah.
And I'm going to continue every 2 to 3 days for about 8 or 9 touches, right? Because it takes about 8 or 9 touches sometimes for someone to respond. But I'm also of the mindset that if they tell me off or they just full in stop, 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 leave me alone, totally cool with that because I got an answer. They're strangers to me. They're not going to hurt my feelings. And that's what I want to instill in all of you that are watching now or that will watch this replay is like, these people are all strangers to you. Nobody has any idea who you really are or how much you care and how valuable you are. They have no idea because they don't know you.
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to step outside of your comfort zone and say what needs to be said in a manner that will facilitate a response, right? Not, again, passive aggressive or rude or like, why have you? Can't do that. So those are the things that I love to address. And let me tell you, I've worked hard to write those narratives in a way where they make sense to somebody, but all I'm really looking for is a response. That's it. Bad
Yeah.
timing, was out of country, mom died. I don't know, right? I've got all that stuff. Dad's in the hospital, wife had a stroke. I've had all those responses,
Yeah.
right? I've had them all.
Yep.
So I can never assume.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And then on the marketing side, what we try to, give our clients is understanding is not everybody's ready to buy from you. They've got things like you said, going on in their life. They probably were really excited at one point and then yeah, dad got sick. So I
Yeah,
can't think about this right now. So, when we build out our lead nurturing campaigns, we try to give value, not sell. And, give them um, you know, some tool that they could use. Give them references of maybe data that's happening in the real estate world right now that they should know about. Houses are selling at this, and you know, you should
right?
do X Y Z. So I think the idea, if I'm hearing from you, is just lead with your humanness and think of them as another person as you are a person. And you're right, we've all had those and we get them all the time. Just those awful emails that are like, hey, we can 10x your business, da 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 da. It's so used car
Delete,
salesman. And
delete.
I know, and I don't know why people haven't figured out, stop doing it,
They're
stop
not
doing that.
thinking.
Yeah.
It's just like spam, just spam. Maybe I'll get a 0.01 success rate and reply. I'm like, it's so nothing.
Yeah. And you're just wasting
Yeah,
your
it
time.
drives me crazy.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
energy. Doesn't make sense. Well,
Yeah.
we are down to our close to our 45-minute mark where we're going to open up for Q&A. Stephen, do you any last thoughts or advice for our audience here?
Yeah. One of my aunts used to say, just dare to be great. And like, what do you want? And you have to ask yourself those questions because if you're just going to work to go to work, then none of this is going to matter to you. It's just not. So the question is what do you want? And, sometimes it takes like really tragic things to happen in life to wake up and to recognize how great I can be, how limited time is, how things change so fast. Like you have one opportunity and that's your life. And you have one opportunity to be incredible in this life. So the question is how incredible do you want to be? And then what will you challenge yourself to do so that you can get past these narratives that are like, oh, fear of judgment, oh, shame, oh, this, oh, they're going to laugh at me. Oh, like, who cares? The people that really care about you will support you when you do things that they go, holy crap, you did that. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, but I failed so bad. You're like, I don't know how you did it.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't empower you to want to do it more, so like you have nothing to lose by working on elevating your own greatness. Like just go for it. The only thing that can happen is you can learn or you can
Yep.
succeed. But there is no fail unless you quit.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's true. And I love that. And it really parlays into marketing. You want to be bold. You want to stand out. You don't want to be generic. Stop using innovative and team player and all of those generic words. Lead with your personality. Make your customer the
Yes.
hero. That's one of the things that we say all the time. Make the customer the hero. You're the guide, and let them be the hero. And tell your story. We know 100% videos that have the a real person in them, telling a story, being authentic. Those things always convert, do better, and people get to know you that way. So talking about we're
Sure.
strangers, we are, but video and great content help warm you up and give you a personality.
And
People,
connect.
yeah, people ask me all the time, well, what's the difference between your agency and this other agency? Because we both do the same thing. And the reality is,
Sure.
it's me. You get to work with me. And I think I'm pretty great. But hey, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So maybe that other
Sure.
agency, they're better. And it really does come down to the difference is the people that you work with. Because we all can execute, well, if we're competent, I should say. But if I'm dealing with the same level agency, the difference is that you're working with me and my team and how we do things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll open it up for some questions. We do have one for you, Stephen. This
Sure.
one's, I'm having difficulty getting, the question is, they're having difficulty getting someone on their team to have the right mindset, the sales team. How could you, I guess, coach that manager level to get the salesperson in the right mindset?
Absolutely. So the very first thing is have they been personality tested? So hopefully the
Oh,
person that is sending something over can also respond. Have you ever done a personality test on them? Because on a disc profile, I'm a high D, which is a driver, and a high I, an influencer. Then there's social and outgoing, and then there's the person who's cautiously optimistic, like an accountant or a CPA. So my levels are for driver, I'm a 99. For an influencer, I'm like 89. For social and outgoing, I'm 50-50 because I'm totally outgoing until I'm like, I don't want any more people. Like, and then I just kind of regress in a corner, like, leave me alone. And then I can lose a pencil behind my ear. So for organization, forget about it. But but I would say learn their personality type because sometimes you're going to put a certain person in a certain position, and that position could be so wrong for them, even though they think they want to do it.
mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Is we misidentify ourselves. I want to sell, and I'm like, but you're not asking the right questions.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that person responded yet, but changing mindset, there has to be there has to be a want or a willingness to do these things, and usually rejection gets to people, right? Like I look for no, I look to be told off. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm excited to when somebody tells me off. I'm like, all right, like what can I say to that? I actually like it. But other people are like, it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel unworthy. I suck. They're validating the negativity I feel towards myself. That's why people don't achieve in certain positions. It's not because they can't, it's they might be in the wrong role.
Yeah. And
So,
that's very EOS, right? Seat on the bus. So the follow up question to that was, what's DISC? What's the DISC test?
a disc, so DISC, you can just look it up online, and there's a way to take personality tests, whether it's Myers-Briggs, DISC, there's a whole bunch of personality tests. But what it does is it asks a series of questions to see what comes out, and then it kind of tells you who you are. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I took a DISC test, I was pissed. I was so mad because I'm like, I'm unique. How is this even possible? How does somebody know me? I was so angry. And then I was like, oh, well, if I could be figured out, that means there's ways to figure out everybody else because they have personality traits. An engineer, you could tell a room full of scientists and engineer a joke, and they'll all be like this. That was funny.
Yeah.
And then you tell other people, and they're just crying. And you're like, how is there such a disconnect in personality? But like, if you've got a CPA, talk to them, see how dry they are. They might be a wonderful human being, but watch how dry they are. And then you have an S personality, which is social and outgoing. They're like, oh my God, we put the party over here. And at 6:30, the sun's going to be over here. And we're going to put the chairs over here. And we need these colored flowers over here. It's like, oh my God, I never would have thought of that. Right. And then
Yep.
there's me. It's just like, what door can I walk through? Who's there? Who do I need to talk to?
Yeah.
So it's like that person that's filling that seat in sales, they have to be somebody that is like driven. They want to talk to people, they want to connect, but they have to learn to know how. So the mindset is kind of internal because the more rejection they get or the unwillingness they have to learn or change, where it's almost impossible. I'm never going to be an engineer. Don't get me to build a bridge ever. It will collapse, right?
Yeah.
But get me to make the deal to get the bridge between this and this. I'll get the deal done, but don't ask me to build a bridge.
Yeah. Well, and my husband and I are living proof on the disc. I'm a high D, high I, and he's a high S, high C.
There
So,
you go, right?
or I should say he's more balanced, but you can work together with the opposite. In fact, you want that
Absolutely.
balance. Yeah.
You need it.
Yep.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So I hope that helped. I hope
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that. The other question I have is, so I mentioned StoryBrand. So the question is, StoryBrand has their StoryBrand AI. What do I think about it? Well, in all honesty, it's a bit of a controversy in our StoryBrand world. The guides who are pay a significant fee to be able to provide the framework. Now StoryBrand has come out with their AI tool, and my my feeling is people are going to use AI either way. So StoryBrand kind of had to come out with something at their level. And it's a decent tool. But here's what we're finding, and I actually just have a new client that's starting with us, is they're using the tool, but they still don't know how to apply it. So my experience has been with any of the AI tools, StoryBrand included, it's great. It gets you like 75, maybe 85% if you really know how to prompt it well. But the reality is you still need to know how to apply it. And it's the same concept, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're not doing a good job prompting and using it and have the fundamentals yourself of understanding how to build that story, it's just another tool. And if you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to use it. So good question.
I just wanted to layer on that because I think it acts as a starting point, but then someone like you is going to help shape the rest of it, right?
Yep.
It kind of gets you to a position, and then someone like yourself is going to brainstorm with them to like polish the pieces.
Exactly, exactly. And it's, again, using a framework, using any tool, it's the same. You have to know how to use it properly. And even as much as I love AI, we're a very AI forward agency, you still need a human. And thank God, because or none of us would have a job, right? So
Right,
let's hope the robots don't take over, not in our lifetime.
exactly.
All right. Well, that looks like that's our questions. So, Stephen, I know we did kind of last thoughts, but as we wrap it up, what's a good way for people if they want to talk to you, learn more about maybe even getting some of your training? What's a great way for them to connect with you?
You can email me directly at Steven at SD sold by Steve. So Steven, Steven at SD like San Diego, SOLD, B as in Bravo, Y as in yellow, Steve.com. And this way, one of the things that I wanted to provide for you as well is like an acronym. So things that you can ask so that you can build your own acronym so you know how to qualify and create a framework so you have what I call conversational direction. So if you think that can be of benefit to you and your business and at least get your sales staff on the right track of knowing this is where we need to be, then you won't you know yourself to death because you'll know where you're going in a conversation.
Cool. I love it. I love it. And for me, I'm actually, since I talked so much about StoryBrand, I am going to offer anybody who DMs me in the next, I'll offer the first two people who DM me a copy of the StoryBrand book. I'm always happy to share that. It still applies even though it's like 7, 8 years old now. I believe they've come out with a newer version, but I'm happy to send a copy to anybody who DMs me. First two people, not everybody. All
Right.
right. Well, thanks, Stephen. I really appreciate it. This was fun. We'll have to do it again.
Thank you so much, Rob.